and welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. We are the Dadley Boyz of WhatCulture. I'm Adam Wilborn, joined by Michael Hamflett and Michael Sidgwick, here to review everything that happened on last night's episode of AEW Dynamite. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube, where we do daily wrestling podcasts where we not only review AEW Dynamite, but also AEW Collision, Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2K. Pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a roundup of the week complete with a bloody quiz, of course, on WrestleCulture. As I said, though, joined by Hamflett and Sidgwick to review last night's Dynamite. Sid, you said on the preview yesterday you were really excited about this show. Did it live up to your expectations?
Yes, absolutely. I had a really good time with this, and it felt like there's been a lot of talk recently about AEW's identity or lack thereof. There was just so many things on this show, and yes, it'll probably shape again. It'll change again, rather. It's always in flux, this idea of identity. But they've been trying to hammer down, we are where the best wrestle. And there was just something about the international flavor and influence, like those unbelievable announcements for the Owen Hart Cup, where it felt like for the first time in a while, not only was this the hub world for pro wrestling, where the international greats are all going to congregate, but it felt like that in a really interesting way, rather than, just going to have some great wrestlers wrestling. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it just felt like that theme they've been trying to nail, quite cynically perhaps, for all of 2024. It just felt like it came together a bit on the night. Maybe that was specific to the Dynamite lineup. Maybe I'm just overjoyed at the idea of Shingo Danielson, which the Dragon stuff, all but confirmed. But in general, the actual experience of this was really good as well. And there was one match that you might not expect me to have kind of fallen in love with that I just thought, this is AEW. This is AEW. This is the sort of thing where you could have just done it one way and it would have been, oh, that's fine. There was just one certain segment on the show that was just overflowing with a level of thought and detail, and we've got this. Can we do something with an extra second here? Yes, do it. Yeah, I was really into this. One thing probably wasn't as high on as a lot of people, but there was enough thought there that really turned me on.
I don't know this yet because we've not discussed it over the desks. I think me and Sidge are going to agree on both of those things without us revealing what those things are. I just have a feeling the way Sidge was describing those two things, we are in exact agreement on those. I would broadly agree with that take as well. There was a feeling within the show. AEW achieved something with this Dynamite, and to a lesser extent last week's, that I didn't think was possible this year. They have somehow captured the energy of what Forbidden Door was supposed to represent in a time frame where that show is starting to feel a little bit redundant. We talked about like the build and how New Japan isn't where it was in 2022, let alone like pre-AEW's existence, when people would have really fantasy booked stuff like this. CMLL being involved in any way felt a little bit like, right, well, the non-AEW side just needs more. So that's like subtraction by addition a little bit, even though you're going to get some cool talents on the show, whatever. But no, the energy and the way people folded in and the sort of the drip feeding of this card to come together, that when you actually stop and look, go, that's going to be a really fun show. Like, maybe not an all-time great, but a really fun show. That's perhaps the atmosphere to shoot for in Forbidden Door season ahead of the big Wembley push. That is serious business. You've got some tickets to sell. You've got an aesthetic to satisfy with big matches. This can be something else. This pay-per-view in this era of monthlies or nearly monthly pay-per-views should be allowed to have a different flavour, and AEW for this period feels like it's actually got one. Massively into a couple of dud segments here and there, but broadly, the product feels like it's where it should be ahead of this pay-per-view. Feels in sync with it.
Yeah, real sign of improvement on this show as well, which we'll get into. Swerve Strickland comes out, joined by Prince Nana to start the show. Hypes up Forbidden Door, and obviously his match with Will Ospreay, says they're two absolute killers. Actually, just one killer. Ospreay hasn't developed that instinct yet. He saw an assassin when Ospreay faced Omega and Takeshita and Bryan Danielson, but not at Double or Nothing. He didn't see that instinct. He says he's gotten the nickname Kill Shot for a reason. If you don't pull the trigger, he sure as hell will. But he respects Ospreay and how he's a fighting champion. Unlike some EVPs who have yet to defend their title since winning them, he's interrupted, of course, by the Elite. Kazuchika Okada tells him to stop. There's the books and Perry as well, of course. Okada asks, whose house? It's Okada's house now, bitch, he says.
Oh, every second.
They're giving Okada bitch. It's so brilliant, isn't it?
Every second I'm graced by Okada. He's not even done anything yet, really. And I just, he's a joy. I get so much joy watching him.
They apologise for him. He's a bit giddy, basically. And they talk about how dominant the Elite have been. They took out Kenny Omega. They helped break Eddie Kingston's leg. And at Anarchy in the Arena, they destroyed Team AEW. Half the roster is gone because of the Elite, and it feels good. All the trolls doubt them. Even the wrestlers in the back don't think they're violent enough. So they challenge AEW's best in the most violent match possible, blood and guts. And Matthew Jackson says this is where Swerve comes into the picture. They get in the ring with him. They say, look, we got off on the wrong foot, but you're cool and young, just like us. We're both in our 30s. If you want to change the world, why not join us for our 5-on-5 match? Be our fifth man, effectively, for Blood and Guts. And they've even got a present for him. They give Strickland his own pair of Young Buck shoes. Swerve, first of all, says, I don't wear size 9s. That confused me a bit, Sidge. If you can just help me with that. Did they get the wrong type of shoe or what was going on there?
No. So that got a bit of a laugh, and you're thinking, was that some kind of that's not a joke. He's just matter-of-factly revealed his shoe size and said, oh, sorry.
I've seen him wrestle. He hasn't got 2 left feet, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. What it is that there's an old adage that if you wear big shoes and he's bigger than a size 9.
Large socks.
No.
Oh.
So basically what Swerve was saying is that, I've got fat cack, huge hog.
Right.
Fat Dick Jones over here. So that was it.
That makes a lot more sense. Thanks for that. He says, secondly, nobody wears pearl necklaces anymore. And third, he is a businessman, but he's also a philanthropist. And Nana tosses the shoes into the crowd. Nowhere near that loser who wears the ref outfit. That really tickled me as well. Really happy about him. I hate that guy.
Might be a listener.
I can go off.
Point out what you said to me as well.
That was really funny as well because the post was in his way all the time. So when he's mugging for the camera, no one could see him. Yes, gets in.
It'd be really something if you were coming on getting
sh-
obsessed about your face getting on camera.
Yeah, don't make the show about you, you idiot. Anyway,
welcome to our NXT review.
But bad news, because then the injury bug, they say, lands on Swerve Strickland. They're going to attack.
I love them.
Yeah.
I wish it wasn't authority figure stuff.
They go to attack, but the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass make the save, and it looks like they're going to get into it, basically. But here comes Christopher Daniels and said, look, I'd love to see this normally, but we've got a stacked card. Everyone needs to get out of this ring now and head to the back, except for you, Jack Perry, because you're in action right now.
I liked this, and there were elements of it that made me smile, and I'm intrigued with the idea of Swerve obviously going to lead a team against the Elite at Blood and Guts. Swerve Strickland might be the one, not to save that match type, because I think it is fundamentally not good. Modern War Games, it's too excessive, and the TV breaks kill it. They're always too long. I just don't like a Modern War Games match. NXT, I think, did 1 or 2 that were great. Last year's AEW one was, it had some really cool moments, but it was still just too baggy, too much. The New Japan one, no. The main roster WWE ones, no. Swerve Strickland is an incredible plunder brawl worker, absolutely one of the best ever. He can't save it, but he can elevate it, certainly with his mind for this sort of thing. So, intrigued by the prospect. I'm going to get let down again, but I believe
I'm
in
ready
Swerve.
to be hurt again.
I'm ready to be hurt again with Swerve Strickland being in that match. So, I like that development. They've obviously earned it by the Elite favouring Christian Cage. So, it's week to week to week to week booking. Planting the idea that Swerve and the Young Bucks are going to have some kind of program. It's not just written down on a Wednesday morning, the point I've been trying to make all that time. Okada continues to be a joy. It was a bit late 2010s WWE coded, but a better version of it, the whole way this was formatted and played out, particularly with the useless, I like Christopher Daniels, respect him a lot, seems like a good guy. I don't need him in this role.
Horrible.
Do not need him in this role whatsoever. But I will say one thing, right? I don't need to see the Acclaimed either. You meant to be, oh yes, the Acclaimed. Ugh. So that ruined it for me as well. And in addition to the format and this useless authority figure, wildly unnecessary authority figure. I will say, though, I might be coming around on Christopher Daniels. You know why?
What is that?
Right, okay. What he did at the start of last night's Dynamite was he put an end to what was going on at the start of the show, not to make an impromptu match, but because they were getting in the way of the scheduled action. If you're going to do an anti-impromptu match segment, I'm going to award this 7 stars.
Yeah, if you're going to be an administrator, at least make sure your admin's in check.
And he did.
He's doing that.
Yeah, I know. He's the best.
His delivery in this
Christopher
character.
Daniels, EVP, and Karrion Kross are my 2 favourite wrestlers of the week.
His delivery in this character is awful. Like, Christopher Daniels is not a bad promo, but him as this character is. Like, I can't even work out if his look is supposed to be dishevelled or he's just buying his clothes cheap. I don't even know what it is. And if he is dishevelled, is that like some sort of rib on the fact that, like, kind of like working in this AEW backstage environment is hectic? And I don't know. I just think it's a bad character. I don't think it's like, what was Anarchy in the Arena really for? Because the Young Bucks are getting trumped more now than they were pre that.
This continues to be a big problem.
Blood and Guts was weird, right? Because, like, on paper, the setup's incredibly lazy. Like, yeah, we won that last match, but we're going again because we do. It's very like we do Hell in a Cell in October.
Yeah.
We're just having Blood and Guts. And yet, I didn't actually hate the rationale because of the injuries. I think they just about got away with it. Ideally, for Blood and Guts, you don't want to be setting up by getting away with it. I appreciate that's a low bar, but it made sense. It was odd to watch it delivered like that. Blood and Guts, like it's still got this cachet with the audience, and it was
still a draw.
Yeah,
ratings and at the gate,
but you couldn't escape that. Oh, we're doing that now, like, because there's been no mention of blood. There's been, other than the fact that there's like been this big team match recently in the Arena, and it's this time of year. There's been no lead towards it.
No,
and they've just gone, well, we'll give you a lead, and they made up a fairly convincing lead to do it over the course of one walk down a ramp. So that was quite strange. And then I'm with Sidge. The last thing I wanted when I was thinking, all right, start doing the mental gymnastics of who Swerve might recruit. Not these guys. Like, I don't want this to just be the layout. I'm hoping this is going to be the Bucks versus the Acclaimed, and then you get an actual set of baby faces for Swerve. Swerve in the match, vital to its success. Not just because I hadn't even considered like the stuff he will bring, but like they're getting it with Swerve as the world champion. The proper main event concern, the guys across all the things that matter. If he wasn't in the match, he would yet again feel reduced in his role. So I'm glad for that.
Change your predictions for Forbidden Door in the world title match?
No, if anything, I think it's good that they've got him a semi-main event level program lined up in the event that I think is happening, that Ospreay beats him at Forbidden Door, which is good booking with a long view of we still care about Swerve Strickland. We still want you to care about him subsequent to his, probable loss of the world title.
Is it after? Blood and Guts after?
Yeah, July 24th, I think it is.
It's a while away.
So yeah, like Ospreay and Swerve in it, and then they have a third man, and then the fourth man is Hangman Page with Swerve.
Oh my God.
Do the right thing. Oh my God.
Then we got the TNT title qualifying match to see who is in that ladder match at Forbidden Door. It was Dustin Rhodes against punk-ass Jack Perry that we were enjoying on the Dynamite preview yesterday. This was where I thought I saw a real sign of an improvement on AEW television, because my face was in the crowd. Thanks to Will, who took the sign saying the only professional wrestling journalist in the game. I love seeing my face on camera. I marked out for it, and it just made this whole show really enjoyable for me.
Gone off NXT now, have you?
Yeah, well, no one takes my face to NXT, do they?
I love that. I had something to look at and care about in every match.
That referee guy, though, stop making the bloody show about you, Jesus. Anyway, Jack Perry attacks at the bell. Dustin fights back, though. They spill to the outside. Perry sent him into the steps, tried to pile drive him onto the exposed concrete, but got backdropped instead. Dustin was already bleeding. I missed what happened there.
There's often like a phantom blade job.
Yeah. Because I went to a couple of
In
spots
AEW.
where he would have convincingly been busted open, but it was like, sorry, he's already bleeding, so I'm just making it worse. I'm attacking the cut.
I saw a thing on like YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels the other day of someone reviewing back in WCW when Bischoff chair shots Hogan.
Yeah.
And Hogan turns around and just gigs just before he gets hit with a chair. just like, oh, there we go. Bang. Oh, what do you know? Look at that. It's blood already over the chair.
It's not exactly Sean in midair at Hell in a Cell.
Oh, it's awesome,
my
mate.
God.
Oh, my God.
What's he doing? Oh, fucking hell.
So we come back from the break after that backdrop. Jack's thrown a chair into the ring. Takes too long, though. Runs into a snap power slam. And Rhodes just fires up and starts twatting him. Bulldog, 10 corner punches. Hits the Shattered Dreams. And flip, flop, and fly. The ref gets rid of the chair and amongst all this. Rhodes hit the crossroads. But Jack Perry just kicks out. The crowd are loving this. They're really behind Dustin. But he gets sent into the exposed corner turnbuckle that got exposed when Jack was getting pulled out of the corner, just ripped it out at one point. Perry hits a DDT on the concrete, and you see Dustin Rhodes' blood just smear on it.
Oh my God.
Love that. Breaks the count, shoves referee Aubrey away from helping him up, but he knows what's coming. Flips off Jack Perry, gets hit with the running knee. 1, 2, 3. Jack Perry qualifies.
Yep, I thought this was a really good bit of business. It's worth pointing out, distracting. What was he looking for in his boot?
What was that?
He kept looking for something in his boot throughout the match, which was a distraction. Whatever it was, they seemed to have improvised something else.
Brass knucks to cut him open, but then he's like, I can't forget him. We're going to have to bust you up in some other way.
I don't know what was going on there, but it was distracting for a while. What I love about this match, other than like the match itself, which I'll talk about, is that it gives me an excuse to put over Kenny Omega. Right. So this match, it's going along quite nicely. And then Jack Perry, whose smug facials were wonderful, by the way, notices Dustin Rhodes draped across, over that middle rope, and like one of the best Kenny Omega V-trigger variations, where he just rampages at the back of the head with his knees, the best of all goddamn time. So Jack Perry notices this and does the finger thing with a gun, bang. It's like, he's evoking the great Kenny Omega, right? Him doing that was like, prick, he can't do that, he's hurt.
Yeah.
And the audience felt that too, that was just my reaction. But it got that pop, it got that murmur, it got that heat.
Oh, people registered.
People registered what
Yeah.
was happening. It got that heat, it got that, you can't do that, you prick, he's hurt. And it also got that means he could come back and wrestle you and punish you, prick, for that infraction.
Swerve, Ospreay, Kenny, and Page and Blood and... this is actually the match of the year.
Yeah. So I love that.
And Daddy Ass.
There's a magic about Kenny Omega where his spectre looms over everything. What this reminded me of was you can even reference him in a match and get a huge pop.
Yeah. That's
how good he is with his body language and his iconography and his posing and all the rest of it. Reminded me on a much, 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 much smaller scale of the 2022, I want to say, G1 Climax final, where the story is Will Ospreay has never defeated Kazuchika Okada cleanly, and he's wrestling him in the final. And in order to, 1, beat him cleanly, and 2, foreshadow and build the match he's going to have with Kenny Omega at Wrestle Kingdom 2023, decides to use some of Kenny Omega's offense against Okada, because obviously Omega has beaten Okada before, so he's trying to, draw on that inspiration so he can in turn defeat Okada cleanly. And this was, I think, Wrestle Kingdom, that Okada, the Ospreay Omega match was the first time where it was pretty much fully relaxed restrictions.
Yes.
You can cheer again. I think it wasn't quite, but it was like as much as all the way there. So that was in January 2023. In August 2022, the restrictions were mostly still in place from what I recall. But because watching Ospreay do the bang with the hands, like they just absolutely lost their minds. And what was so great about the moment was that the Japanese were so like observant of those rules and very polite. That was only when something magic happened in those pandemic era New Japan shows where they actually vocalized their emotion, like involuntarily. Oh God, that was great. So like my ultimate thing about, I just love discipline in pro wrestling. That was like, it was a slog to get through a lot of those New Japan matches, but every now and then there was just a bit of magic where it's like, this is so goddamn invincibly great that people are going to break the rules.
It's
and pop
real.
for it.
Yeah, they couldn't for trying.
My God. Obviously, this wasn't like that. It was giving it a little bit. I thought Jack Perry was great here. He is a different animal to what he was in 2023 with that Hook feud. It just didn't feel like the babyface turn was taking its all. He felt like a chicken heel because he was running away in the cars, if you remember, when Hook was chasing him. It was more chicken heel, slimy heel. Now he's like a little rat. And I know that Dustin's enduring brilliance helped in this match in particular. Like when he flipped the bird and stuff like that. It was like, oh, you prick. You're good, but you're still an arsehole. Love the finish. And I know the notoriety that's been attached to him in the wake of Wembley helps as well. But I just think his work is just a bit more assured.
Yeah.
He just feels like he's got more of a presence. I had a great time with this.
This was good booking as well. Wrestling has that thing where it loves to flash forward and call back, but it's not exactly the most nuanced. It's like, well, if this guy did this to this guy here, imagine what's going to happen on Sunday. You have to think that rather than really feeling it. Here, they quite like with the stipulation, we're able to show you that Jack Perry can handle himself in blood and guts, because this was him illustrating what he can do, what he's willing to do to people in this new sort of updated version of himself. And potentially, if this really was, as you speculated, Sidge, Dustin's farewell, it's a nice bookend. He bled out and lost on his first night against Cody and bled out and lost on his last night against Jack Perry. And it's like, there's Dustin Rhodes, end to end. Gave and gave and gave, bled for it, paid the price, and moved on. Like, that would be a nice, if this is it, a perfect way to go out.
We go backstage. The trio of Cassidy, O'Reilly, and Mark Briscoe are there.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They can compete on Saturday and team tonight because they're pros. Cassidy said there's a few people who might have his back here, but he's also got one that definitely does, and Willow Nightingale walks in. I was going to try and write down Mark Briscoe's promo, and I'm not going to be able to do it justice. It was an incredible Mark Briscoe wild rant.
It was better the more it went off the rails.
Yeah.
He barks at the end of it, and also it was only improved by Kyle O'Reilly's face over his shoulder, his jaw slowly dropping more and more to the floor, and then he walks off, and you just hear Kyle O'Reilly go, I'm so motivated, like that, and just follows it. It was great.
So we were all Kyle O'Reilly, and that was why he was reacting in such a way, but there was obviously an earnest enthusiasm to it. I was like, and another thing, and the thing I was talking about, we're going to kick your ass, and just like walked off. Like, Mark Briscoe just does things to me.
Yeah. I'm annoyed he's a Ring of Honor champion because I want him on this show more.
He's just an absolute delight. He's incredible. He just has this soul where I'm like, I'm in love with you. And I want to watch you all the time, and I want to get behind you. He's just the best. This promo's so great.
There is a bit like this, fantastic. Must watch, I would say, this promo, genuinely.
I want to watch it again on my lunch.
If you like people corpsing and wrestling, that's always great. It's always class. This was really fun to watch. But I love the exasperated Renee Paquette Orange Cassidy bit. I love it. I think it defines when AEW even did the most basic of colouring outside the lines in 2019, 2020, Monopoly, WWE, just being like exposed for what it was. You kind of get less of that now because there's less need for it now. There's less call for it than there used to be. But then little flashes of it are such a nice reminder of like why AEW is still different. And they do this bit typically, don't they, where like he's knackered and he's tired and she's not really into it, she's his mate and she's sympathetic. But like he goes, she kind of holds the microphone to him and he goes like, you all right, Renee? And she says, I mean, I wasn't, but I am now. Because she's had to flip that from their usual dynamic. But are you? And he's like, well, I guess I'm okay. That's the power. Like, he can't corpse. She's just about gone. But this Mark Briscoe promo has fired everybody up. So they've even flipped that to sell that. And you're like, if you're in that building, which has been a problem in AEW, lower crowds, less atmosphere, you are losing your mind for Mark Briscoe. And it only helped what was, I mean, the best match on the show, guys.
Yes,
it was.
That's
what I was tiptoed towards. This was part of it. This was a promo in that it promoted you to care about this match, and the people in it loved it.
It was incredible.
Loved it.
Well, before we get to that, there was a squash. Roosh versus Dion Roosman. Superman punch, just dragged him outside, chucked him into the barricade. I thought he was just going to keep kicking his ass on the outside. I wasn't sure if the bell had rung at that point. Anyway, he hit the bull's horns very quickly for the 1, 2, 3. Post-match, he grabs a microphone, tells the fan, shut up, says that this bloke's a tip. He's from where they were. Des Moines, wasn't it? They were there, and that's where he was announced as from.
Almost Slipknot.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
He says, anyway, this person's a typical American, weak, just like the rest of you, basically. He's going to bull's horns him again. But MJF's music hits. He comes down. The crowd are ecstatic, obviously. And he runs down with his taped fists and gets into it, brawling on with Roosh. The security tries to get involved, but they just get taken out by both men. Christopher Daniels tries to keep the peace. Nah, that's not happening. MJF's biting Roosh's head. They go out to the floor. Roosh charges at MJF, who sends him into the crowd. and they go around the arena. They go backstage, and MJF double legs him and slams him through a table, and finally security separate them. And Excalibur announces next week they're going to open the show with no commercial introduction.
Yes.
Interruptions even.
A few thoughts on this. I'm going to step on the dick of a preview, but I just want to get it out there. I want to be in front of it just in case I'm correct. One, I could do without the nationality stuff, being completely truthful. I thought the brawl was really, really, really well done. I feel like the continued concerted idea to disassociate fans from Kangaroo Kick MJF was articulated brilliantly. It's a good idea, and they've articulated brilliantly again this week. My favourite moment of the brawl was when, a bit like Mox Ishii in that trios match last year that got loads of raves, where they just stopped hitting each other and started strangling each other instead. I love watching people get strangled. It's great. In wrestling, it's absolutely fantastic. I think that this is probably going to go to Forbidden Door. It's had a bit too much build for it to be a one-and-done TV match, right? I think they're going to have the TV match, the finish will be the finish, then it's going to go to Forbidden Door, stepped up. And the idea that they've gone around the brawl, they've brawled around the crowd, rather. They cannot be contained. I think Rush with a strap could be unbelievable.
Yeah, I could say it was surprising to me that we were going to get it on TV, because I already thought there was more heat to this. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, this has already been elevated. Credit to both of them, by the way, to elevate this beyond what you would expect for a typical Dynamite match, even though initially we were thinking, well, it's a TV thing. No, it's better. Just aim higher and you can do this. I'm intrigued by the continued, like, Triple H references. I can't lie. Like, this was ass kicker week. How far is he going to go? I just want to watch that. How far is he going to go with that? Because that's the second one now. Like, it's MJF. Nothing's ever wasted. Like, he puts thought, even when it ends up not going down as well as he would have liked, like last year. I don't think this stuff is just for a bit of fun or just a visual gag. I wonder what more there is to this. There's no War of 2024 anymore. It is just like a tribute of sorts. So I was just like, this was the ass kicker with the leather jacket and the tape fists. He's moved visually away from the old MJF for a reason, isn't he? So
I think it's purely to disassociate, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, like, the old, not even like, there's no suit jackets at all anymore. Like, I'm not picturing him in his Better Than You Baby t-shirt, for example. This is a third MJF, isn't it? I'm just curious how far he goes with that. And
I think that's why he's doing the Rush match. He wants to be taken seriously as a guy who, because the babyface MJF last year, he got the volume, but little of the emotion. I made this point at the time where Kangaroo Kick gets a pop. It's a bit shallow.
I was like that take of yours where you thought he was trying really hard to be the face fans
that's
wanted.
The thing, because it came off as a little bit inauthentic. Yeah. But I thought that was the point. But I think he's really going for, if I'm going to be a babyface, I need to kick the out of people and I need to get like the kicked out of me. That's how it goes.
Great brawl.
Oh, the brawl was
fabulous
great.
Brawl.
Yeah.
Then we got the 3-on-3 match. Orange Cassidy, Mark Briscoe.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And Kyle O'Reilly versus Roddy Strong, Carl Fletcher, and Konosuke Takeshita. Trent Barretta was there with Don Callis and the Kingdom. Don Callis was on commentary for the match. Breaks down early, loads of dives. Cassidy hits a springboard somersault dive onto the pile. He's the only one standing tall. There's Trent. He has a stare down with him, which distracts him long enough. I don't know why I popped so much with this. But Takeshita just boom and nail Orange Cassidy to take us into the break. We come back from there. O'Reilly gets the hot tag. Strong gets out of there so he doesn't have to face him. O'Reilly fights off Fletcher and Takeshita. There's a double dragon screw in there. There's an attempt at a sneak attack from Roddy Strong. Briscoe makes the save to fight off Fletcher and hit some redneck kung fu to Strong. But the crane kick is blocked, but not the Pele kick. Blind tag from Orange Cassidy. Briscoe hit a blockbuster on the floor. Throws Fletcher in to eat a top rope DDT from Cassidy for a 2 count. It all breaks down again. And we see Takeshita spinning out of a J Driller into a blue Thunder Bomb. Cassidy hit a spinning DDT, Stundog Millionaire, and the high-low with Riley on Fletcher. Goes up top, but Strong distracts him long enough for Fletcher to hit a top buckle brainbuster, I should say.
Oh my God.
Yeah, during all this, Briscoe's made a blind tag. He hits the froggy bow, but Strong breaks up the count. The referee tries to separate Strong and O'Reilly, and that allows Takeshita to fly in with a big knee. And Fletcher hits the pile driver and surprisingly is the one to get the win, pinning Mark Briscoe. Post-match, Beretta attacks Orange Cassidy. Fletcher and Takeshita beat down Briscoe, and the Kingdom hold back O'Reilly from getting involved. And Willow Nightingale's music hits. Seems like she's going to come out and make the save. Instead, she just slumps out of there because she's been attacked by Chris Statlander, who throws her out the tunnel. Stokely Hathaway's on the mic, screaming for her to wake her ass up. And tells her next time she sticks her nose in their business, they won't be dragging her out on the stage, they'll be dragging her to the ER.
One minor flaw in an otherwise mini-TV masterpiece of a match. I thought this was incredible. I would have given Takeshita the win. I feel like there's more value in doing something with him, legitimizing him, than there is Kyle Fletcher, who's a long-term project. Like Takeshita, I'm losing faith in their booking of Takeshita. If he'd won, that would have been a little bit of a way of convincing me, oh no, you should stick with this guy. This is unbelievable. Like, this was a rocket firework of a match. Just went up and up and up and up. Never once flattened. The volume just went up and up and up. And he just got these incredible flares of multi-man action. Like, what was so great about this was, other than the pace and just the actual action, was in a trios match, the general idea, even like the most sort of thoughtless maybe, trios matches are just fun to watch. Really great athletes get their in. This was like, we need to get it in. Not we want to. We need to get it in, otherwise we are going to lose. One of my favourite bits in this match, and indeed in this sort of thing in general, was like the idea, it's obviously worked, but they make it seem real so you can better suspend your disbelief. Orange Cassidy and Kyle O'Reilly, this like sort of mid-match strategizing of, if you do this, I'll do the leg sweep, you do the orange punch. Just this little idea of, we are making this up as we go along. I've got a great idea. In the moment, they've obviously planned it out in the back when they've gone bang, 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 bang. But they've made it feel real. They made it feel urgent. They made it feel like they have to win. It was the get-ish in match, but elevated because they made it feel like they had to. I couldn't believe, one, how good this was. You saw it on paper, the graphic. It was like, well, that's got a flaw of very good. I was really impressed by just how great this was, and I actually preferred it to the main event.
I love it when you call, but you never call at all, because this was the feeling. This was the feeling. All of the characters, this was like a tapestry of AEW's great characters, plus the matches that theoretically should only exist in AEW. Maybe less so now, but even then, WWE doesn't really have something like this in them, I don't think.
Very different 3-on-3 with like Braun and.
But do you know what? I genuinely thought of that. That drew something.
They were both good in different ways.
Yeah, that drew something from that crowd that show desperately needed. And I would say this drew something from an AEW product that this product desperately needs, because they all felt very much like inbuilt AEW characters. I had such echoes of the Fighter Fest multi-man 2020. FTR in the Bucks.
FTR in the Bucks versus Butcher, Blade, and Lucha Bros.
Like, same kind of feeling.
I'm sorry. Every time that gets brought up, I need to reiterate my agenda. I need to see a Canadian destroyer inside to outside of the ring onto a field of... Why have they never...
Do the destroyer on the pile again.
Do the destroyer on the pile. Do the destroyer on the pile.
Wrestlers in the match shocked and appalled by the state of the spots. I want that again. This is the feeling. I couldn't have loved this match more.
It was great, wasn't it?
It was perfect. The strategizing mid-match, that honest belief that I was able to disbelief I could suspend. We need to make a tactical change right now, and we've got the ability and the numbers and everything else. I loved the inclusion of the Chris Statlander, Willow Nightingale was icing on the cake stuff for me, because I'll use another very lofty comparison, the Dallas 10-man tag. That also has got a million different angles going on. You've got the return of Kay and the Radicals have just turned heel, all that. It's not just a match in front of a hot crowd with a bunch of guys. There are so many moving parts that add to the match. I want to feel like AEW is alive with a bunch of different rivalries that actually mean something. And in that respect, this had more going for it than BCC versus the Jericho Appreciation Society. Honestly, it did, because I just bought in to the little internal rivalry
Yeah.
is so much more. A bunch of petty grievances, a bunch of baby faces that felt like mates, a bunch of heels that were willing to be bastards to get it done. This had the lot. I will actually remember this at the end of the year. Compliment. I can't think of a higher compliment to TV match with the amount that like we watch, and a lot of wrestling fans.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Your standard diet might just be WWE and AEW, and you still get loads of TV action. This was it. This was AEW for what, like 10, 12 minutes?
Yeah.
I couldn't get enough of this. Loved it.
This isn't the thing I was talking about at the start of the show.
Ah. Wow.
But you know what else is still amazing 5 years in? Tony Schiavone was like, I can't believe how good this match is. Or he said something to that
Yeah.
effect. I was like, I still believe you. And it's still,
Post-retirement, Shivani's back for a minute.
yeah, it's like, I still believe you. And I'm still sort of like, I'm still like with you as well. You are still my voice. Every time he says, well, 9 times out of the 10 times he says, match is great. He just loves it. Like, I'm right there with him.
Renee Paquette's backstage with Ray Phoenix ahead of the main event. He says he's one of one. She says he says he's one of one. And then there's a video package for Shingo saying he's ready for the Owen Hart tournament.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Shingo Takagi is one of the best wrestlers of all time, realistically. Like, if you look at his catalog in Dragon Gate, it's unbelievable, but like not as on the radar. Like even his New Japan output. And you could argue that he entered New Japan after it had peaked creatively, and yet just in terms of match quality and catalog, he's been absolutely out of this goddamn world. He's just one of the coolest, most explosive, legit, spectacular wrestlers of all time. The idea that I need both the matches. Danielson's already declared, and Shingo Takagi, I'm stepping on your dick here, sorry.
It's all right.
Basically said, I'm the dragon. Like, who's the best dragon?
Yeah.
Well, I want to know.
I like the first. Have they had more than one? What's the
You're
one I've
thinking
seen?
of the DG USA.
Yeah, that's the
The
one.
Dragon Gate USA match, like really, really great. People hold it in the highest esteem. It's like the best indie match that wasn't in PWG or Ring of Honor,
Yeah.
basically, or Necro versus Joe. Like really highly regarded, and you know Tony books for himself and a lot of those people who would like it, and he knows it's going to be great. And I want Shingo versus another person who declared later,
I
because it's going to, you know,
I put this on
makes
X
my dick hard.
yesterday. I would love John Moxley to announce the G1. It's a shorter field. He's currently the IWGP champion. They're going to announce this weekend, I think. So it's really not out of the realms of possibility. And wow, does that throw the Forbidden Door match against Naito into like some sort of question rather than the assumption we're making. A little bit of it's because I think, well, what a perfect excuse to lift him out of AEW for a bit. And I just think about 2019 John Moxley G1 run all the time. Like, I'd give anything for 5 more minutes of that.
Did he win that?
No.
I did. First try.
Like, and this era Moxley's like, I think I'll win that one, actually. I think I'll main event Wrestle Kingdom. Thank you very much. Like, so I was thinking, that'd be really cool, but I know what I'm doing there is fantasy booking. It's unlikely. I would have had it as just as unlikely that Shingo was going to enter the Owen. And again, in terms of establishing what goes on around this time of year in AEW, perfect for like a perfect scene setter for Forbidden Door season, that Shingo would be like, I'll have a bit of that. I fancy Wembley. Like, this Wembley Stakes thing is brilliant. I knew it when they
This
announced it.
field looks unbelievable.
And it's
as well.
got to be because the prize is too great. You are main event in your division, men's and women's, Wembley Stadium. What, just such an inspired move. Knew it the second they said it that they couldn't like half-ass the brackets. They can't do predictable winner, predictable loser. Like it has saved and made this tournament already before it's even started.
Christopher Daniels is backstage. He's made Tony Khan's made it official, basically, that the Bucks and Okada next week are going to have eliminator matches. No outside interference. I know, obviously, in the Okada one, but also in the Bucks one. Eliminator matches. So if they lose, then there's the next title challenges.
It is rubbish. You're right. It's just rubbish because the Bucks will be like, well, no, we're not going to do that. We're counter offer. We're going to do this match. They've never established terms on it. I've given up.
It's a mess. It's a
I love
mess.
the Elite, and I've given up on this.
It's such a shame that this act is wasted on this sort of plot hole gaping crap.
We see Samoa Joe and Hook walking backstage just before their match with the Premier Athletes, and they're talking about why Taz loves orange so much. Joe reckons it's because he's a Syracuse fan, but Hook corrects him. And we see them come through the tunnel and jump Tony Nese and Daivari on the stage. And Shibata's there. He's the cameraman, as has been established, following them. And we get the match. Sterling trips Hook and just gets killed by Kazuya Shibata for his troubles. Joe puts the coquina clutch on Tony Nese and his tiny knees. And Hook puts the red rum on Daivari. Shibata puts one on Sterling as well. Everyone passes out and Joe and Hook win. And commentary are like, we got a new trio here.
This is what I loved. Charmed me. This is what I loved. Obviously, the trios match was better than this.
Yeah.
But this is what I was talking about. This is what I talk about when I talk about AEW. Okay. Paraphrasing Carver like a complete arsehole. But this is what I talk about when I talk about AEW. On the surface, this is a simple, establishing match. The cool trio that have been, sort of created for the sickos. This is for the sickos, and I hate it, but trio. Just an establishing match where they beat some geeks, and it's fun, and it's quick, and it's brutal. They didn't miss a second to pop me, and there was a sophisticated bit of booking in terms of like the way it was all visually arranged. So kicking the crap out of them in the tunnel. Yes, you'd done that earlier in the night. That's never not going to be an AEW problem. But as soon as they get to the ring, you do two things that make it appear that Hook is approaching Joe's level and getting his respect, and incidentally doing more for him than Jericho did in the 2-month program. So Hook, who's done it before, but perfects the nope spot, and Joe's like, hey! Yeah. I taught you that, and you've applied it. Very well done. And I love.
Hook Nope's life, doesn't he?
Yeah,
so, he's the perfect guy to take that one forward like that.
Absolutely. And I loved the idea. I love generally stereo finishes where we do it at the same time. It's a cool visual all the time. But the fact that they've got the same one and that they applied it at the same time, but it was Hooks that won them the match, I'm not going to buy instantly. Oh, Hook's got the same aura as Joe. Oh, Hook's as good as Joe. These just little visual signifiers that this legendary badass of the game respects this young guy. It was just it was really well done visually. And then when I talk about AEW being AEW, there's no need for Katsuyori Shibata to do that to Smart Mark Sterling, but it was just the icing, that little bit of detail where it's that's really funny. And you've spotted an opportunity to pop me when there was no real need, but you've done it. And Smart Mark Sterling's selling was great. It looked as if he'd expired.
Yes.
He's like a corpse. He wasn't spluttering. He was literally dead. Yeah. It was incredible. I smiled. I laughed. I thought that the unit that have been put together for the core purpose of making fans think they're cool and this is cool. I watched them and thought, you're cool.
This is sort of the sort of thing AEW promised, isn't it? You could say when they first started.
They did promise this sort of thing, indeed.
We should really talk more about what AEW promised when they first started and how they've held those up.
Or otherwise.
Yeah, it's a good chat, that. Probably full of insights.
Yeah.
Only somebody would do it and put it on the internet.
Get a video package.
Sorry, as well.
I'm sorry, yeah, your
No, just Shibata, right, as this... the little reveal that he's the one doing the filming. The reason for that to exist is because these little asides with Joe and Hook are sort of important, aren't they, for the act? Right now, especially. Syracuse, I hate Syracuse. And the one...
There's one on lacrosse, I think.
The hockey and football thing. Yeah. I was like, right, Shibata does need to be there because we need to see that, because us seeing that helps us understand how this dynamic is building and growing tight there. That's good booking. It is. It's if you have to create fake reasons to do it, then immediately you're pulled out of it. You're not Shibata's part of this, and I can really appreciate that. And I didn't trust it. I didn't trust AEW to get this, and already I feel proven wrong.
No, it's class already.
I'm really happy with this act.
The collision thing was cool as well.
Yeah. Now this bit's important. He's almost taking the piss out of how serious he used to take that.
Yeah.
I did this to you. He's willing to mock himself a bit, but I love that. Now take notes on this bit. They're great.
Yeah.
That's just reminding me for some reason. I meant to mention this last week because it relates to last week's Dynamite. But shout out to Blake Myers, who sent me a lovely email giving us a bit of a live report on it, saying, hey guys, this is Blake Myers, long-time listener of the pod. Just want to give you some notes, since I was at this week's Dynamite. MJF's the most over guy in the building, although he did get some boos when he mentioned Ospreay. Everyone still loves Swerve in the BCC, and Tony said post-show they might try and get a pay-per-view in Denver.
It's time to play the game! Time to play the game! Ha ha ha!
What would that pay-per-view be called?
Is it a new one?
I believe this is Blake's suggestion, although it's only said post-show they might try and get a pay-per-view in Denver. If so, the perfect name would be... What?
Well, is it in the Rockies?
Colorado!
Good.
No, not good.
That's good.
By the way, if you like the crotch chop, it's all over that Who Killed WCW.
Is it?
Vice.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Right. Wrestling pay-per-view names do love alliteration.
Oh, right, yeah.
So it could be like the Clash at Colorado.
Death in Denver. December to this Denver. November to this Denver.
I don't know.
Bronkhouse Brawl. A bunkhouse, but the Denver Broncos.
Right, no. Can you put me out my misery, please?
Denver, Colorado.
Denver. Hang on. Denver.
Or just Colorado, I suppose, technically, in general.
Colorado.
I'll put you out your misery.
South Derk.
No.
That's black in the event.
Tony said post-show they may try and get a pay-per-view in Denver. If so, the perfect name would be AEW High Stakes.
That's good.
Is stoned already. I need to do a shout-out. Well, did we do the El Snapo on the preview yesterday?
Yes, you did.
There was one other person who got it, but the first person to get the film reference, El Snapo.
The Burbs?
Yes! It was a reference to the Burbs, and the person who got it right was the arse formerly known as Jimmy Blade.
Oh, look, Jimmy Blade. You see Jimmy Blade wrestle. He was class. That's the guy called Assassin.
We get a video package for Stephanie Vaquero, who says that's Mercedes coming for the title that was supposed to be hers to begin with. Her belt's not going anywhere at Forbidden Door. She's going to become a double champ, basically.
You see the bit of the move when she gets the head around her knees and just repeatedly drives it into the mat. I was like, that looks like it's painful. I certainly wouldn't want to take that.
Mercedes Mone versus Zukus.
I think so.
That's what we're going for.
Yeah.
For the TBS title. Zukus mocked the CEO dance early on. Sorry, Mercedes. Where are my manners?
Yeah, where are your manners?
Mercedes.
Money. Money.
It's Egyptian both ways. The Bangles video. Keeping it.
Yeah.
Mone comes back with the head scissors. Rope walk arm drag. But Zukus rolls her up for a 2 count. There's a roundhouse kick to Mercedes. They go to the floor. Mone hit a step-up arm drag off the commentary table. There's a drop kick and a wild dive to the floor from Zukus to take us to a break. When we come back, Mone flips out of a fireman's carry into a Hurricane Rana pin for 2. Fights out of the corner. Hit a sunset flip, but Zukus hit a Meteora. Mone came back with a bulldog, corner knees, and hit a Meteora of her own for 2. She hits 2 of the 3 amigos, but Zukus counted it into a double arm underhook lung blower. Misses the
And I mean...
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Oh my God.
Misses the moonsault, though, and Mone hits the moneymaker for the 1, 2, 3. It will be title for title at Forbidden Door.
And it was not going to be. Yeah. I thought this match was very thoughtful on more than one level, and I was a little bit crossed by the response. Like, the crowd just did not come up for this at all, it felt like. Did not come up for this at all. I don't think it was a blow-away great match, but I thought it was thoughtful on a couple of different levels, and I was a little bit crossed. Are you giving them nothing here? You're giving them absolutely nothing. I did think Mercedes Money could have got killed a little bit more. If I'm being, a little bit more death splats. Trademark Mercedes Money, I have just been I've fallen off like a building, splat. That's how she bumps.
We were talking about Carmella the other day, weren't we? There was some splats in that feud.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
So there was, maybe you could have done with a bit of that, but the dynamic was still really, really cool. The idea of the person who's really hard hitting versus the person who's good at the death splats coming together, really well done. And it's one of those things where Tony Khan is just really clever and he gets it. Hang on, Mercedes Moné has been paying tribute a lot to Eddie Guerrero for her entire career. Wouldn't she be good against someone well-versed in lucha? All right, okay. Well, the Vaca match is going to be really good. I know New Japan Strong did it first, but then you do this as well. So there was a good meshing here, I thought, in terms of chemistry. It didn't click into that gear of, I love this. But I'll tell you what else I loved as well. That lucha / Manami Tayo transition, the flow over into the transition it made a finish look good for once. Like, it really did. Yeah. And I like the idea of, I know how to do this lucha stuff. And just because you think you've got a style, I kind of know how to do that. Your move, Stephanie Vaca, like, I just wish the crowd gave us a little bit more.
I agree. Do you think maybe they were with them and then I thought there was a few chemistry issues at points and then they would lose the crowd with that, like that second that feels like an hour sometimes, a little slight hesitation or a slight delay, and then they'd go all the way back down again. Then it felt like they had to work twice as hard to win them back, and then there was yet another. There was like 3 or 4 in this match where it was like, but then they cracked on and it was fine again. But if you're live, you can't help being a bit deflating, and then they were always felt like they were always chasing it a little bit. Because I was thinking about like that exact point about I've got that in my arsenal as well. Do you remember friggin' like basically Sasha working a lucha match with herself to have that Reggie match?
Yes.
No hitting in the face, and I'm basically going to have to do lucha stuff to drag you around this ring when you can't even queue. Like, that brought me in mind of that. I forgot she's got this kind of in a back pocket. It's not stuff she goes to very often.
Or she was really allowed to.
Yeah, but it's perfect for this build and this match.
Who was she wrestling?
Reggie.
No idea. Who's that?
There might be a button because he became known under a different alias in NXT where he was maybe a bit of a vandal poet.
Are you talking possibly about scripts?
Pay attention, please.
Miss him.
Lovely bloke as well. Bumped into him at Wale Mania, genuinely.
Didn't he like, I don't know if it was your interview or another one over WrestleMania weekend where he's like, yeah, my gear was disgraceful. Couldn't do much with that when I saw it. Like, he owned that one.
I think he said he told me when we first were like, who's this sommelier guy that Carmella's got? He apparently, in the news video, wrote in the comment section, it's me, guys. Nice, lovely. Best luck to him in the future.
Well, if only you'd paid attention, please. You would have known it was him.
We get an excellent video package on Mina Shirakawa and her history and stardom.
Really good.
And then we cut backstage, and there's Renee with, I was about to call him Gunther then, Luther, Mariah May, and Toneless Timey Storm.
Correct.
Mariah thanks Tony for entering her into the Owen Hart Cup, and May says, good news. Mina Shirakawa's back next week, and we got a contract signing that I'm going to take care of. And then Storm's a bit knocked by this and not especially best pleased about being told she's got a match on Rampage as well.
Yeah, what's that about? What's going on with Toni Storm this week? Like, the wrestler that doesn't like to wrestle, is she a babyface? I think that I continue to think they're losing the thread with this timeless Toni Storm character. I will say that Mariah May being in the Owen, great. Mariah May overseeing the contract signing next week, great. Like, the payoff, I'm all the way in on Mariah May and Toni Storm long term. Like, she feels like a potential favourite for the Wembley title match. I still think the Toni Storm character, and I'm not sure who this is on. I don't know if it's Tony Khan or Toni Storm. Like, I wish I knew more of what she thinks and why she acts.
Yeah, with maybe my bar, I've lowered it. With Toni Storm, I've just reached a stage of acceptance where she is the heel who behaves like a heel more often than not, but people like her, so let's go with it.
It wouldn't make a difference what she says, because in the matches at the pay-per-view, she's one of the most over on the...
And she's funny.
Yeah.
She's funny and she's class in the ring. And people like her because she's funny and she's class in the ring. And I'm kind of willing to go with it.
Yeah.
And I don't think you need necessarily... She can always turn on the babyface stuff against Mariah May in the event that she favors Shirakawa at Forbidden Door. There's a switch that they could easily do like that. So I'm just going to wait for the switch, personally.
I'm Learning Tree. It's time for TV time. with the learning tree and
Sore thumb. This one on that Dynamite. You got this globally international flavor on the cutting edge and all this different style, and they've all congregated in this one promotion to prove this is where the best wrestle. Well, I'm coming here then. And then there's Jericho.
Imagine if that was on the t-shirt. We're the best wrestle.
You've restored the feeling. You've restored the feeling. You've restored the feeling. Big Redwood, Big Bill introduces the Socrates of pro wrestling, the guru of giving back, the Michael Jordan of Michael
It's a
Jordans.
road trip one, isn't it?
Is that the guru giving back?
No, the Socrates of pro wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
And they describe Vince as it in road
Got to
trip.
teach him history on the way back, hasn't
Yeah.
Class film, that. Chris Jericho comes out with that introduction and plugs a new Learning Tree shirt that came out 15 minutes ago and is already the top-selling shirt. He tells the people of Iowa how to properly grow corn. He ate it earlier and it was a little rough for him, brother. Brian Keith says, I did like the Brian Keith. You want to grow some lame-ass corn.
He's getting better.
Yeah.
Respect Chris Jericho. They bring out Private Party. That song obviously says shots, and Jericho says, hey, if you're going to do shots, make sure you've got a designated driver. Puts him over. Says one thing you haven't been doing recently is winning matches. Talks about being trained by Stu Hart in the dungeon, learning how to wrestle properly, and says you climbed the ropes wrong. And Zay's like, oh, can you show us how to do it?
He's a cartoon character.
Jericho says, I'll climb the ropes like Owen Hart taught me. You put your foot here and foot here and foot here, and then Brothers 8, they've outsmarted. Private Party have outsmarted the Learning Tree because they sweep his legs. They
It didn't take much.
send Bill and Keith to the outside, hit dives, hit a swanton and a shooting star on Jericho, and then leg it before his flunkies can get involved.
If you consider the various components that made this this TV segment, right, you've got completely artificial dialogue. I don't give a toss if this is. I don't give a flying if that is some meta commentary on WWE. Why would you do that? It's 2024. Didn't you fail at this in 2022?
Yeah.
Didn't that? Didn't the Jericho Appreciation Society just completely miss the window? And this is after WWE's got hotter still. So I don't know what this is. If it's a meta commentary on WWE, bad. I think it's just bad personally, and I think people are reaching bro when they say that. So you've
Punk.
got
Seen it about Punk. And like I'm the locker room leader. I know everything about everything. So yeah.
So and even that,
Who cares?
who cares?
Mega over and back.
This stupid artificial dialogue uttered with this really no one talks or sounds like that cadence, terrible props, and this stupid behavior leading to a really, really bad slapstick joke. This is the most late 2010s coded WWE segment in ages. Like, Chris Jericho is playing a cartoon, a clown, and I know that Chris Jericho likes to show ass. He knows how to send himself up. He knows how to be a clown. He knows how to do slapstick and all the rest of it. This was too stupid for him. You know, for Chris Jericho, it has to be real, real dumb for it to be too stupid for him. And he's just like, what did he reasonably expect? It's like, comedy's all about the timing. And like, if you know something's going to happen, you've got to make the punchline funny and telegraph. It just wasn't funny. It was pathetic. In Private Party, you're going to lose, but they're going to get something, go 50-50 and get something in defeat, and then you'll see them again in 3 months. And I hate this.
You called this on the preview.
I did, didn't I?
Yeah. Who could have seen this coming?
Why being terrible?
No, the Private Party were going to end up fighting two members of...
Whoa.
What?
Yeah, the character's voice is, you've been hit on the head, and now you're this. And if somebody hits you on the head again, you'll return to being Chris Jericho on planet Earth. And then if you get hit on the head again, you return to this. You can just make up this nonsense as you go along. It's not a reflection of one kind of character. I still hate this idea that the Learning Tree was founded in this, like, it's worth repeating in my opinion, founded in this very real reason why people became even more sick of Chris Jericho, that he has thought, I'll show you. That's the worst. That is the worst. Well, I'll show you why you're wrong with the daft wrestling character. Grim business. Reminder of that. It's a reminder of that all the time. So aside from all of that, I still hate that the Learning Tree is him first week thinking he's owning the marks with his like TV time reference, specifically about
Who
wrestling.
likes more TV time? I do.
That expansion of the character last week into I'm going to explain every single thing, and now like every town's got a con, hasn't it? Every town's going to have.
That's the magic, though.
And that's it. And that's his thing, isn't it? That's his thing. Like, what's on Jericho whiteboard? Whatever town we're in, that's what's on the Jericho whiteboard. That's
Got a game for next week, I suppose.
this is how he does it. Like he gets Tony Khan backstage. Right, Tony, time to play the game. What does this town do?
I had a better line for Chris Jericho on the preview. I said he should say, you know, I can give you a bit of advice because whenever I come out, people often say, oh my God, it's Chris Jericho.
That's a great line.
That's good, isn't it?
That's a really good line. But Jericho wouldn't have been able to do that because he can't lower his voice.
Yeah.
He'd have to just scream it like he screams everything else in this weird delivery. I hate it. I hate him.
Yeah. In this house, we prefer the rest of Dynamite. Thanks very much. We get a video package on Tetsuya Naito challenging Mox for the world title at Forbidden Door. Very exciting, that.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's the most I've felt about Mox singles in a long ass time.
one of the few names you often say in singles.
Yeah,
Right,
Naito is the one. Is the biggest
The
star
last
in
one
New
they've
Japan.
got, really.
Yeah, especially now that Shingo's doing the own. To a lesser extent, Hiromu,
Yeah.
but Naito's the one. Proper heavyweight star.
That'd be some political flex if Tony Khan was allowed to book Hiromu as a heavyweight when he's
Yeah,
hasn't been able to bust out the juniors for 10 years.
They haven't had Yano at the Forbidden Door at all, have they?
No, they should.
Yeah.
Tony Khan's got a weird relationship with comedy wrestlers, hasn't he? There's maybe something to that. Like he had mixed feelings on like certain elements of All In and stuff, didn't he, about what would make it into AEW off of being the elite and that kind of thing.
Yeah, but then
and
he likes it at the same time.
And Yano's like proper wrestling comedy. Proper.
Yeah.
3/4 of the Bing Bing Ging are backstage. It's the 1-year anniversary of Collision this weekend. Talk about the House of Black, and they do the whole, we can turn the lights on and off as well. Juice Robinson issues a challenge for Saturday. The Collision Cowboys are going to kick their asses.
I like the Collision Cowboys era. In the first form.
I love Juice Robinson talking.
Yeah.
Right.
So glad to have him back.
Flicking lights on and off's a good bit.
They're going to do it in about a week's time, and then they're going to be behind them.
Yeah.
They're behind me, aren't they?
Yeah, stop flicking that switch. I'm nowhere near the switch, Jay.
I'll leave this to you two to preview tomorrow, I assume.
Yeah. You
Maybe,
You
maybe.
ready for that, Sitch? You told me through another gripping collision.
There's a lot of stuff actually advertised for this show.
The 1 year
I would say.
anniversary.
Yeah, 1 year anniversary.
And two massive stars making their AEW debut.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, you seen this? Heard about this?
Huh?
Who's coming to Collision this weekend? Do you not know?
I think I know.
Who?
What?
There's two new people.
Is it Shane Hayes?
No.
Way better.
That's what I thought you would.
Whoa. Nothing against them, but blows them out of the water.
Yeah.
It's time to play the game! Time to play the game! Ha 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 ha!
Which ex-WWE superstars are coming to Collision this weekend?
I heard you talking about maximum male models. Because I'm not. I just heard you talking about them in the office, like when I was trying to get my work done. And, but now I realise what was in reference to.
Yeah.
I didn't know this. That's cool.
Uh-huh.
That's cool.
Good, isn't it?
MXM they're called now, aren't they?
Yeah.
What are they called?
MXM.
Same gimmick, whole deal.
I mean, why would you? I mean,
Kind of indie darlings because they were cult favourites anyway.
I mean, that's like good convention. You can do a lot with little with that kind of gimmick on the indies. I'm in favour of it.
If they lose,
Well,
after
they're
the Grizzled
gone.
Young Veterans have lost, I'm done with this show.
Do level up instead. I mean, you would if you could.
I'd love to
we
cover
see the rise of Dante
That's it.
Chen.
the rise of your favourite wrestlers. Chase
A full 7 years before they go onto the main roster, it seems like.
Chase Kindergarten.
Yeah, even prouder. Look at them.
They've made it onto the NXT main roster. Can we start covering Level Up?
No. Thank you, Nicholas.
I think how colourful the graphics would be.
Shut up.
Daniel Garcia versus Nick Comoroto came next. Have I ever said about the time Nick Comoroto had the wooden chair under the ring? I feel like I've not mentioned that before.
So where did that come from? Oh, it was always there. The wooden chair that's always in the ring.
Indeed. Will Ospreay's watching.
Dustin Rhodes on Dynamite as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. Will Ospreay's watching backstage. So is MJF with his hand iced. I do hope it's all right. Garcia dominated. Saito suplex. Floated over a gorilla press, then hit a Saito suplex. Guillotine, Impaler DDT, 1, 2, 3.
A dark elevation come collision coded waste of time.
What is this, collision?
You know what I mean? Like, what was the point? I like Daniel Garcia a great deal. I think he's got so much going for him. Do a promo.
Is this
I might still do a promo.
Is this push the push as well? Like, you never know.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
That he's in that realm of the Garcia Takeshita realm where I don't know, and I don't believe it. So I'll take it as it comes. And that's not the way to invest or to approach things. Oh, that'd be nice. You want to go? It's time, baby. That's what you want to do.
Yeah.
But everyone does that.
Mark Briscoe.
Everyone does that. You know that famous thing people do when they're like wrestling, they go, "Oh, it's time, baby." So I do every single time.
Finn Balor's going to reveal what's going on with him and Morgan. It's time, baby.
Been doing it for years, man.
Yeah.
Dolph Ziggler 23. Oh yeah, it's time, baby.
Universal experience.
Yeah, I know that. That's what everyone does.
Michael, what's that herb you're putting on our dinner?
It's time, baby.
What would you say clocks offer to the world on a daily basis?
Tell you the time, baby. Oh God, I want to kill it, and I want him dead, and I want him dead.
What's Karen Cross trying to illustrate with that hourglass before he started giving it that?
Before he says, "Go off," it's the best in the time, baby. Down, baby. Shut up.
That's not a speedometer on that DeLorean in a 1980s classic film. What's
Back
it
to the
denoting?
future. Back to the future. I'm not. Thank you. No, exactly. I'm not. I mean, I am. Increasingly,
The game has changed.
Renee Paquette tries to get Ospreay's thoughts on Garcia, but he's got a lot on his plate. He's got a main event next, and he's got a contract to hand out to show that one he got given by Swerve, etc., etc. Then Pac is backstage with a swinging light that keeps making his face look even more menacing. It's been loss after loss in his triumphant return to the company. He's supposed
the deadpan, my triumphant return. Ah, God, I love him so much.
He's supposed to be a bastard, but he feels like a bitch. But that ends now. He's pissed off. That's when he's at his best, basically. He's entering the Owen Hart Cup.
And I mean...
That's wrong.
Oh my God.
What's that button?
Folks, where's the light?
What do I want? Danielson's probably going to win. Do I want Danielson? Because I want... There's like 2 matches where I want 3, but there can only be 2 if that makes any sense. I'm not making any sense here at all. Mm-hmm. Danielson versus Shingo, Pac versus Shingo, and Danielson versus Pac. I wanted Shingo to wrestle twice, so he'd have to beat Pac, and then Danielson could do Pac later.
Could, earnestly here, right, could McGuinness screw Bryan in the final because he cannot sanction the idea of him getting a title match at Wembley?
That would be the perfect time to do it.
There's your build. That's how you get that match as well. Like, they had the final on Collision, and he sat ringside, and he's like,
They're the only 3 that
comes off. And
only 3 that have announced so far.
I believe so. But imagine if it was 8, that or near enough that caliber, and it's just sudden death.
People have announced a class.
Yeah, I think it will be.
3 for the women as well. Statlander, Willow, and Mariah May. Mm-hmm. Bloody hell.
You don't. The last thing you want now with this kind of field is to, and now here's the 4 token jobbers for all of these people you really like. Yeah. You've got to like maintain the standard.
Yeah,
or at the very least, like elite.
Nick Comoroto is announced.
Like Tony Khan does like to do the old Axe and Smash Royal Rumble bit. Like Cash and Dax worked.
Mm-hmm.
The
Owen.
Cash could announce for it. Obviously, Dax is.
Oh, please do.
That'd be great. Yeah,
please do. Like, if you're gonna have someone who's they're probably gonna lose, at least give me a great match. And Pac versus Phoenix. I've wanted that since 2020. Maybe a little bit less so after the main
Punk
event.
and Starks were technically mates in it last year, weren't they?
Yeah.
That was to start the Starks heel turn.
Pac could reintroduce himself to Gravity again.
No, that was the most I've ever.
We were joking about this yesterday.
Forgetting me not. I love you so much, Pac, but I don't like this at all. I'm sorry.
All of this for that joke.
Yeah.
Remember me? Still a match.
I love him, and I've never felt.
TV time's expensive.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right, Phil Brooks.
he's going to go on and win the world title at Wembley Stadium. He'll be damned if someone his caliber would have his Wembley moment. And he also reminds...
I'm right here.
He also reminds you should listen to the SmackDown preview tomorrow if you like accents. Pac also reminds the Bang Bang Billy gang he remembers what they did to Death Triangle as well. I thought he said Bang Bang Billy Gunn the first time. I was like, what's this? What?
It put me in mind, like, I don't think he's going to win this tournament, but Pac at Wembley.
Should have Takeshita.
It's a conversation, isn't it? Yeah, that should be big.
Takeshita.
Yeah.
And then we got the announcement that Blood and Guts is going to take place July 24th from the Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah. Got plenty of time to think of how to make that dirty.
Frigbone Arena. Bashville.
Gashville.
Gashville, obviously.
Could have Jarrett in Blood and Guts.
And it's so
In
hot.
fact, you should.
It's so hot. That's the only 10 I see. So, chat up line. Will Ospreay versus Rey Fenix for the international title came next. Oh, it's the main event. Ospreay.
Good for them.
Ospreay presented the... I was like, something else happened. And then I was like, yeah, it just followed on from what happened. He presented the contract to Swerve as part of his entrance, which you could see me over his shoulder for.
Now it's the main event.
Now, I've got interested again. Loads of great counters early on, leads to a stalemate. Phoenix hit a Hurricane Rana that sent Ospreay to the floor, tried to do the rope walk kick, but Ospreay blocked it. They both go for dives, but get cut off. Another snap Hurricane Rana, though, from Phoenix, and a high frog splash back inside to take us to commercial. Pip, pip, cheerio when we come back from Ospreay. Phoenix cuts him off in the ropes with a spinning kick, though, and tries a springboard Hurricane Rana off the top, but Ospreay lands on his feet.
Oh, my God.
Ospreay tried a spinning DDT, but Phoenix escapes.
Oh, my God.
That was the bit I exploded at.
Dodged the hidden blade, so Ospreay instead just hits him with a spinning air raid crash for 2 to take us to another break. When we come back, Phoenix turns an octopus hold into a crucifix bomb for a near fall, hit a backflip out of the corner into a German suplex for 2. They keep countering each other's finisher. Ospreay hits the wall walk and Seguri, but Phoenix avoids an Oscutter, but gets hit with the second attempt. Phoenix counters the hidden blade into a rolling Hurricane Rana, hits a thrust kick, went for another rolling cutter, but got hit in mid-air with the hidden blade. And Ospreay goes up top, stares at Strickland on the outside, says it's his house, hits the swerve stomp and the hidden blade to win it. 1, 2, 3. Listen to what we said yesterday. Well, technically, I said instead of hitting the hidden blade, you hit the house call. But basically, he was listening to what we were saying.
I've got a lot of time for the finish. A lot of time. And there were obviously moments in this match that did make me lose my mind. Like that tornado DDT front flip handstand. It was just ridiculous. It's a kind of... You see
I like the landing just before that. Off the Hurricane Rana, man. Like,
it was the one where it's like, it always looks great, but then the twist of it's already impressive enough that Phoenix can do that thing on the middle rope to get to the top, and then you do that, and then do the flip. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I'm going to stick my head above the parapet here. I think if they worked 50 matches in AEW, this would be in the lower 25. There was something missing from this for me on the whole.
They were pushed for time. I know it's still given like 20 minutes.
Thing, because they give it, I think they give it like 15, 17 or whatever in the 2 commercial breaks for this genre of match. It was redolent of, when they did the trios tournament and you had some of these awesome spots and awesome sequences like Dragon Lee taking Kenny Omega off the barricade, and like there was still that, I don't necessarily think this works with a 2 commercial TV match, you know? You have to slow it down. It's the one genre that has to go bang, 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 up, 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 up. So there's an element of that with the 2 commercial breaks. Chemistry, I've seen them work better. Like that. He did it to, Phoenix did it to Kenny Omega in that New Year's Smash match, where it's like that unbelievable sort of avalanche backflip German, this like, it's like the McDonald's sign of a wrestling room. That was a little bit sloppy, not as beautifully crisp. In general, this genre of match, I think Ospreay is above it now. I think he's moved on as a wrestler. This genre of match, it's like you're meant to go, how have you done that? That's the entire basis. And it kind of works. That's how the crowd is meant to react. And the wrestlers are meant to be, oh, they've got a better reversal than me. And it's meant to chip away at their confidence of like, if he can do that, and he's better at me at that, then I've lost it, basically. That's the story they tell with these matches. Increasingly, I don't experience those moments where it's like, how have you countered that? They might have run out. I think this Ospreay mirror match, like the Ricochet, this Phoenix one, I think it might be a little bit passé because it lives and dies on the, how the hell have you done that? How have you done that? In the reveal the tricks one too often, I think. I think this is a genre thing as much as it was a match on its own terms thing.
The force.
I mean, it's still...
We've been spoiled, yeah.
We've been spoiled. There were still feats of athletic precision in this match that it's ridiculous, and I still felt something, but not as much as I used to.
Like the era of the 4-star floor is so strange, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, because that's what we're looking at here. Like, you're looking at a 40, and some may go higher. Well, I'm with you. Like, I was thinking about how much I loved the Kyle Fletcher TV match. And I think the difference there is that
that was better.
When Fletcher does it, it's because you're watching character development. You're watching how much am I still a tribute act to you, or how much am I eventually going to one day surpass you? And you're being forced to ask those questions through these incredible physical feats.
Yeah.
And you're just not asking those questions in a Phoenix match. You are watching a display. You are watching an exhibition. And I don't say that as negatively as some awful grifters online would. I simply say it as I've seen it.
I've seen it, yeah.
And to your point as well, I've seen better from these two. I, too, was put in mind of when I really think about it, it's probably one of my favourite ever AEW matches, that Phoenix-Kenny one. The Pandemic era matches were bigger achievements anyway because of what they had to work with. I loved that match and I bought it and I remembered it at the end of the year, even though it fell early in the calendar, January 2021-ish, something like that, was it?
It was January the 6th, 2021. Yeah.
Oh, brother.
Why is that one ring a bell?
Yeah. There's the learning tree. And it's just not that. And that's Ospreay's cross to bear of being Will Ospreay and the expectations that get and will continue to get set. And we will go through this cycle from time to time. But yeah, didn't give me the feeling like the 6-man did. Ultimately, just didn't.
I feel like that's just a little bit of a passé genre, this specific kind of outdated Ospreay match, but again, the takeaway is there were still elements of it that were quite incredible. On the finish as well, very quickly before I forget, wrestlers do this thing where something gets over, they'll just do it. So much so that they just lose the thread of why it exists in the first place. Ospreay and Swerve have nailed this. We've said for ages, it's weird pushing Swerve now. Ospreay's here. Is Swerve the guy? And I've really enjoyed how Ospreay had this blowaway TV match. And you think, Swerve can't compete with that. Swerve's a lot cooler. And then Ospreay has this week where it's like, that wasn't as good. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's a good point.
It's like this meta dance that they're doing. And we've said all along, at some point you have to acknowledge that these two wrestlers exist in the same space. Otherwise, one will constantly be compared to the other. This finisher theft trope now is them two acknowledging it.
Yeah.
And I find it so thrilling. Really, really thrilling. So I love the finish, but I was a little bit lower on the match. I was relatively low on this incredible spectacle of a match.
If you showed this to somebody that had never seen it before,
they'd
be blown away like we were the first time, like nearly 10 years ago or something. Ospreay, you've really...
2016.
Yeah, that's it.
8 years later.
Like this Ospreay thing, you've really made me realise something there. There are so many more comparisons, and I think you're probably getting spoken about with Ospreay and Swerve because they are in the way that their styles have evolved, the way their look have evolved. They did similar stuff. They rose through the ranks similar ways. They've evolved in similar ways. Like to look at them physically, the way they've adjusted the matches. Like we've kind of highlighted some of the stuff that Swerve has either needed to remove or, in fact, removed in order to like update his game a little bit. Ospreay's done the same over a longer period of time, but nonetheless. There is a certain rock Triple H of it, isn't there? Where it's like there is a bit of a foot race going on here about like who this is going to be, and that like they don't need to tell you that as fiction because it's the reality, and you're getting to watch it play out as this who's the best. I love who's the best for the world title. That's never not great.
Yeah,
and that it's becoming a more legitimate argument than it felt maybe 6 weeks ago.
So post match, Swerve gets in the ring. Ospreay wants a handshake.
can I have a go at that belt? Like The Rock at Ross WrestleMania, but Ospreay doing it.
Don't break my heart.
Strickland says,
Trent, shut the up now. Just gives him something. It's like, it's a yo-yo. It's just some like little trinket. Ospreay's missed the point of it. What's it? What's a gift? I want to know what a gift is. Can I have a go at that belt?
Swerve says he still thinks this is a damn game. This is his career he's playing with. He calls Ospreay an immature little child. He can't hold both worlds on his shoulders. And they have a bit of a shoving match, during which Ospreay grabs the world title from Swerve and puts both of the titles on his shoulders alongside the international title. And Ospreay stares at Strickland, who pulls the title away from him, says, "You're lucky we're still friends. Anyone else, I'd put you in the ground. Oh, put you in the grave right now." And there's a stare down, and then Nana just dances up the ramp to close the show, basically.
Love him. I had a great time with this Dynamite. It's not, the feelings are back. I'm not making that mistake again. It needs to be 6 months. Said it all along. Give it 6 months, Sidgwick. Then this one goated week. So that's pretty good. I think the feeling's back. It's not back yet, but more of this. More of this.
Good ending. I
More
like
of this.
I like that actual, that sort of, I'll let you off now. Swerve's figured it out. There was a rough few
got
weeks
love of
there.
me. I love
Rough
him.
few weeks after Swerve. He's just back. He's just
Yeah.
all the way back.
Yeah, the like opening show world champion promo didn't feel anywhere out of place
Nah.
to have Swerve in there, and
I
just
love him.
exudes
Yeah,
this.
It's cool. It's
Uh,
cool.
Right, let us know your thoughts on AEW Dynamite in the comment section below. We're on X at WhatCulture WWE. Well, actually, you can follow all three of us. You can follow Michael Hamflet at,
Michael Hamflet.
follow Michael Sidgwick at,
Sidgwick.
follow me at Adam Wilborn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. Follow our brilliant producer at It's Adam Nicholas. And make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling wherever you get your podcasts from for daily wrestling podcasts. But for now, it's been the Dynamite Review. My thanks to Hamflet, Sidgwick. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.